So we were sitting around talking after the initial kind of introduction to some podcast. Anyway, so we have.
This is the
We're
post.
generating content.
We are, but not even trying. It's like we are content generators. It's like, anyway, okay. So I just, for some reason, what came out of my life was my mouth was, Maddie, where are you on utopian literature? But I meant dystopian literature, and really what I meant was probably mid 20th century dystopian literature.
Yeah. So George Orwell.
Yeah,
Because we were talking about Hunger Games before you got here.
Yes.
Well, you guys, who was?
We
Yes,
were, Maddie,
we were
talking about
We were talking about Hunger Games.
I'm unfamiliar, and I don't want to be familiar.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the seat I'm sitting.
Okay, so I
related
read.
to the Hunger Games, yes.
I reread Orwell,
Yep.
or I have not read Animal Farm, or what's the other one?
1984.
Well, 84. I got that, but
Yeah.
what's the other one? Animal Farm.
Brave New World.
No, Brett's Huxley.
That's Huxley, yeah.
Orwell's the other one. Animal Farm, or there's one other one that I haven't
Animal
read.
Farm, 1984.
Okay, so 84. I read that.
Yeah.
I reread it during COVID for some reason, and
It's depressing.
it's so depressing. It is, but okay. Then I started rereading Huxley.
Yeah.
A Brave New World.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
It-
I got to early in the book to the artificial incubation
Yes.
thing,
Yeah.
and I remember reading it in high school, thinking this is messed up. I couldn't even do it.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that, but there's other stuff too. There's Ray Bradbury's stuff. He's a little bit the
Yep.
science fiction. Fahrenheit
Yep.
451. Wait, why Fahrenheit 451? Why?
Temperature books burn out.
The temperature paper is it's the flash, and you know that, and that's why you know you got to be careful what you put in your oven
Yeah.
above like.
That's why you can't
425
reheat a
here.
pizza in the box.
That's right. That's right. So that, and then just like catch 22.
Materials.
All this you have. Anyway, so I was just curious if you could talk about that a little bit. I know he has
Yeah.
thoughts.
Okay, so I'll my love of literature doesn't necessarily go into the dystopian. I genuinely think that 1984 is worth reading, and I think Brave New World is worth reading if you can get
If you can get past
if you can get
If you can
through
start.
it, because I think that the two, and I've heard this from other wiser people that know.
This is a Stone Street thing, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I agree.
It's a two sides of a coin that is good to read, and it's good to read things that you don't like sometimes to broaden your mind. And I agree that those are worth reading. Not my cup of tea. And I get that there is some so good things to learn from that. The like slightly dystopian book that I would actually recommend is a C.S. Lewis book.
Would you swear? Oh, that hideous street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would.
it's
I would
weirdly
recommend
dystopian.
that. It's weird
but
dystopian,
it is.
but it is. And
You just reread that.
Yeah.
yeah, and so I can maybe pass it over to Jason.
I have vacation jealousy because there was a day on your vacation where you read for like 14 hours.
14 straight hours.
Because that's usually not the vacation that people are envious of.
That was a recharge. Yeah, I read on vacation. I read through the entire space trilogy, and it starts off Out of the Silent Planet and Paralandria. Those are great books, but that Hideous Strength is a completely different flavor, and it's a dystopian
novel.
It's a dystopian novel, and it's
When Mars meets Venus.
and it's basically a prophecy, because the corporation, the acronym for the corporation in that Hideous Strength is called NICE, and it's the National Institute. I can't remember what it is, but it's
it's the best. And especially if you're from Minnesota.
they call it the NICE, and it's it was just predictive of so many things from the original trilogy you guys were talking about, 1984 and Brave New World. I think Animal Farm is probably the most accessible of those three,
Yep.
and it's easily the better one to digest because it's parody, which means you're learning without having to wrap your brain about how awful
It's the
this
20th century Candide, if you will.
Yeah, and it's Animal Farm is what gets us. All animals are created equal. Some are more equal than others. And you add up, if you add up those four books plus Fahrenheit 451, what you get is you basically have a curriculum for power politics without human dignity. And that's the whole point of dystopia is we are trying to engineer utopia, but we can't do it because we don't have first principles.
Got it. All right. So I got
Experience.
So I have so many thoughts about that. So I'm going to try to see. So this is going to be the problem when I interview people. Then really what I want is I want the person I'm interviewing
To interview you.
to ask. The Kissinger. I heard recently that Kissinger had a line saying, "I hope that you have questions for my answers."
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. So utopia means.
Perfect society.
I mean, no, it means no place.
No place.
It's not EU.
Yeah,
It's you. It's like atopia.
It's a tongue in cheek.
So it means no place
because
utopia doesn't exist, right? Okay, so dystopian is this. So it's a place. The topos. Okay, it's a place. So it's a messed up place. Okay, so it's a dystopian. So the idea of the dystopia is kind of a parodical thought, a parody to try to get you to look at the inverse of it. Now, the modern one, you guys talk about Hunger Games, which if I ever watch, it'll be like the Simpsons. I'm never going to confess to ever knowing Simpsons.
You have to look pretty deep for profundity.
Okay, so the one that gets thrown around in our culture right now is Handmaid's Tale.
Yes,
it
I'm
is so tiring.
Sick. I'm so sick of every woman
author?
talking about. I don't know.
I can't remember it.
I don't really.
But it's like it's so,
care.
and I haven't watched it, but it's like, do you real? Yes, they don't even realize it. What they're like. So if it's we will not Google facts. We will not. we will not fact check
That is my
ourselves.
job.
If only our producer had a device in his pocket that could answer these questions.
But the idea that by women being wives and mothers, it turns them into incubation machines only. And I've read Huxley. So it's like you're just like this is upside down. You're turning this around a little bit. So okay, so that there's that.
Margaret Atwood.
Atwood.
It's just like it's so unself-aware of anyway. Okay, so that's it. All right, so utopia means no place, and communism is a utopic enterprise. So you can see in the 20th century the human cost of trying to make no place into some place. It's the hundreds of millions of lives, right? So I think it's really, really interesting, and I'll get on a philosophy rant if I keep going. But it's all in Rousseau.
It's the Enlightenment's fault, which
Not
is,
Clouseau.
not
Not Jacques Clouseau.
That's Pink Panthers.
No. That's Inspector Clouseau. Jacques Clouseau is
Jacques Cousteau.
Cousteau.
Who are you trying to quote here?
It's 70s and 80s pop culture that he doesn't even understand.
So Inspector Cousteau
Clouseau
is a hapless investigator who does all of his work underwater. I'm sorry. I apologize.
riveting content.
Apologies for that. Anyway, so it's all in Rousseau, and then who's our other guy? More recently, amusing ourselves to death. It's all in Postman.
Neil Postman.
It's all in
Marshall McLuhan.
Yes,
Both of those guys.
It's all in those guys, and you can see this. And so this is really the dumbing down of our society, where it's painful to think. You're encouraged not to think.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly taught, and now we're messing with facts. So it was my little eye opener about 18 months ago was truth used to be a correspondence to reality. Then for years we said truth is a social construct, and now we're back to saying truth is a correspondence with reality. We've always been at war with East Asia. But now reality is a social construct. And I didn't realize, when I started teaching apologetics and Christian thought, back when I taught it at FLBC, we were talking about truth as a correspondence to reality, no matter what they say, right? But now we're off to reality is a social construct. Right. So reality can be whatever you want it to be. Yep. So you can identify as a trost if you want, So
well, legally,
but
by the law of God,
that's right. I was at the wedding. I saw it happen.
We need reality to be a social construct in modern society, because the only way we function is if we identify the group that's the victim, and that's that critical theory that the only way you have value is if you are suffering from some sort of oppression.
Yeah.
And so you have to bend and twist reality so that you can demonstrate where your victimhood is.
Okay, so you realize sociology, little known fact. Cliff Clavin's little known fact, brought to you by John Ratzenberger, who died Norm died. Not Cliff. Never mind. All right.
This is also 80s pop culture. Cheers.
Cheers. Sorry. Okay, so but little known fact, sociology was a science developed so you could identify who the oppressed was. It was a critical theory response. Now, and I don't remember a day when sociology wasn't a science,
Yeah.
but my great-great-grandparents, sociology wasn't a thing.
Mhm.
And they were too busy trying to put food on the table and not starve to death to talk about who was oppressed.
Right.
So, anyway, it was very interesting stuff, I think.
Yeah. Well, and what you missed out on is pre-air or off-air conversation. We were leading into all of this talking about how modern entertainment struggles to tell a compelling story
Mhm.
because you're re-engineering or reverse engineering the story to get to a result.
Mhm.
You have to check boxes to make sure you're not causing offense, to make sure you're preaching the right message, to make sure you are highlighting
The right
certain
people.
groups.
Yeah.
And what you do then is you lose an actual narrative, you lose an actual story, and you eventually lose interest.
So if every narrative serves the desired meta-narrative, the social construct meta-narrative, then you don't have story anymore.
No, you have ingredients, you have elements.
It goes back to the reality that the stories that we go back to over and over again are the ones that are founded in a Judeo-Christian worldview because they make sense of reality. Even if the author has nothing to do or doesn't even recognize a Judeo-Christian
Or
worldview
hates it.
or hates it.
Yeah.
The author can absolutely hate it. And yet if they are predicting and writing about reality, that is writing.
Which is
That reflexive of a Christian worldview.
which is more or less what Christopher Dawkins has come out and said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who was it last year?
So
The
interesting.
leading atheist in the world has said you need the Judeo-Christian narrative.
And matter of fact, he'd rather live in a Judeo-Christian culture than he would in any other worldview, which makes sense because cultures are not the same.
You cannot invent a world.
You
Yeah.
cannot invent a world.
Schaefer. Do we still do that?
No.
No, I'm going.
No.
Say, Chris Talbot, that was for you. So, all right. Okay, so that's fantastic. I had an idea. This would be the worst idea ever, but it's an idea.
Okay.
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, you might have seen this on X, formerly known as Twitter. I took issue with something that Grok came up with.
Okay. Well,
So-
shocker.
so
Grok
for-
came up with something
just for-
controversial.
Grok
fine.
is Twitter's AI for
Yeah.
those who aren't tracking what
And
discussed.
shockingly, Grok came up with something dehumanizing. Yes. Yeah. And you've seen Space Odyssey, right?
2001.
Yeah. Also, Sprach Zarathustra, the theme song, the da.
Yes, I have. I've heard the theme song. Yes.
Dun, dun. Okay, it's
That was
like
perfect.
it's a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
Spared no
It moves
sex on
so slow.
special
Yes.
effects.
It is so slow, right?
Oh,
Okay.
it's awful.
Okay, but remember the protagonist is, or antagonist is,
Dave.
that's the
HAL
protagonist.
3000.
HAL 3000 is essentially AI, right? he becomes sentient.
Interesting.
He's
You
the
need to
onboard
watch
computer.
this. If
Okay,
you
give me a
are
pitch on why I should watch a 3-hour movie that takes so long to get through.
It is
Just so you can
culturally
say you've done it.
important, and that he pretends. All of his cultural reference, he pretends.
I've seen 2001.
No, he has. He doesn't pretend. I just accuse him. All right, I've touched you twice now. I'm sorry. All right. He likes his space. So, okay. So I started interviewing Grok on this subject.
On
And
the
Grok,
Space Odyssey.
no,
Human.
no, sorry.
Human dignity.
Human dignity.
Okay, thank
Hal
you.
was not
Sorry.
into human dignity.
Yes, got
He was
it.
into sacrificing Dave. Spoiler alert. So, okay.
60-year-old movies don't get spoilers. Like saying that, right?
It's like, there was gambling in the establishment. It's Casablanca.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I started interviewing Grok, and we got to the point where Grok said, "It sounds like you and I are starting with different first principles." And I wrote back to Grok,
Oh.
and I tagged Larry Sanger. I wrote back to Grok, said, "You are not allowed to have first principles because you don't exist." And he's right. So many of these first principles, and to argue back, and this we do teach that in apologetics and Christian thought. I argue it hard.
Yeah.
That the job of an apologist is first of all to simplify and explain the Christian worldview,
Yeah.
but then do not let anybody off the hook. You can't just say, "Nah." You gotta have something for creation, fall, redemption, consummation. You gotta have something. Or if the Bible isn't the Word of God, what is it then? You gotta have something because it ain't nothing. Best-selling book in the history of the world, times 10. So I started interviewing Grok, got down to first principles, and so now we're done with this. So here's my idea. Here's my pitch.
Huh.
I
15 minutes in, and we finally.
I'm sorry.
Make that issue.
That might be unfixable. Okay. I put Grok in voice mode, and I interview Grok.
Well, I mean, it would be identical to interviewing the programmers, right?
I'm not
No,
sure.
because it's pulling from
Yeah, it's
everywhere.
pulling from
It
everywhere.
doesn't have an identity.
But the whole point of AI is that it's pulling information, and so it's changing the information, but the program doesn't change. It's
And how
always
is it-
fill in the
I
blank.
mean, how is it not Hegelian? Which is the problem with Wikipedia, right?
Mm.
Okay, so it says it, and that's why Larry Sanger, co-founder of Wikipedia, who's now a Christian, says he's not even sure he wishes he would have done it
Yeah.
because it's Hegelian. So it's not.
There's a lot of regret with the
Yeah.
World Wide Web.
So the truth. Yeah. So it's like, to use the terms, it's the thesis and then the antithesis. Instead of weighing what's true here, it's the truth must be somewhere in between, like every good church fight, right?
It's more a game of like probability and average.
And so that's a real problem. So I could interview Grok to expose the emptiness of it, but I'm not sure why that should be a hobby. I should probably, even golf is better than that.
Well, partly because you can win.
I'm not sure
Right.
actually. But tell you what, arguing with Grok, it would make you bring your A game.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of meets you at whatever level you.
Because it's taking from every argument ever that's being plugged into
It is, and it's not going to go ad hominem,
Yeah.
which is where so many arguments go today.